Hello, hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome to this episode of Angels Don't Lie. I am your host, Jeanne Street, and I am honored and blessed to have you here for today's podcast. I'm super excited to bring you my dear friend, Sarah Jenks. Sarah Jenks is a modern priestess, healer, just an all-around amazing soul. She is offering so many great things into our world that you are definitely going to want to check her out. So get ready for this great conversation and reading where I share some of what the angels are showing me for her and her life.
When she smiles at you, she'll say, angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. No, angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. No.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So happy that you're here. Sarah Jenks, you're here. I'm so excited. Modern day priestess, giver of love, facilitator of love. I don't even know like your title, but that's what I get for you.
Thanks.
Facilitator of love. Like you hold women in a sacredness. And so the Holy Mother is definitely all around you. Mary Magdalene, you embody like that womb, that center of like compassion.
Thanks, Jeannie.
I feel like we're very similar in a lot of ways. My emotions have been very big this morning, been welling up in tears. And I'm like, wait, is this mine or is this Sarah? Because this happens like before I like start to commune with someone. And I feel like it's both, it's twofold. And they're showing me like these similarities of our waves, of our emotions. And I feel you on a very deep level of this huge responsibility of holding sacred spaces. Like you love it and you want to do it, but also like, what do I do with all of this?
Yeah. I feel, it's, something that I've been thinking a lot about is this push and pull around having a really big vision, because women are often brainwashed to believe that if we want to have a big impact, it's driven by the ego, and that there's this assumption. And I'll speak for myself. I've always questioned, because I see myself, and I have, when I hold ceremony, I hold it for hundreds of people, and it's really big energy. And so there's a couple of things that are coming up for me right now. First part that I started talking about was, is it okay for me to want to hold ceremony for hundreds of people? Right. That seems like a little over the top, Sarah. Like that's a little extra. Most people just hold ceremony for like 30 people. Can you just chill out? Right. That's my inner voice that happens. And then when I get really quiet, what I realize is that holding ceremony for so many people and stepping into the assignment of really being seen and being visible, it is the most selfless thing that somebody can do, because a lot of times it's a huge pain in the ass.
Right.
And I just think it's so important for anybody listening, if you judge yourself for having such a big vision, that it actually is so selfless to want to step in and hold something, whatever it is, at a big level. And the other thing I've really been grappling with, we just started talking about space, is that when you do hold ceremony, when you do hold the way of love, you need so much space around it. And I've really struggled with that.
Yeah. The whole filling up and staying there with your own emotions and doing the healing work so that you can continue to hold space is there's this duality to it. There's this like time away to do that work, and then to come to when you come back in, you're assembling all those parts again. And, the ego wants to be in charge and rule our heads. It wants to rule, like, again, like what you said, like, you don't need to do it for too many people, or whatever that conversation within. So it's really challenging, but then that's why we kind of take space away to do all of this internal work,
Exactly.
to come back in with that. Okay, I'm ready, God, bring it.
Yeah, I'm ready, God.
I'm ready.
Yeah. And this is the conversation that I've been having with God recently. I call her the goddess. Same. Same.
Whatever we do, it's all good.
And I've been asking her, because I have this vision for my life. I can see it. I can feel it. You and I have talked about it many times, and it's not here yet. And often I ask, like, why isn't it here yet? And she's like, Sarah, if I gave this to you right now, you would flame out so quickly, because I don't see you practiced and taking the space that you need for yourself.
Right.
Like,
this is so good right here.
We have to create this balance, and I'm a Libra. So like, I know, and the more we bring in our dreams and our vision and our impact and the mission we have in our lifetime, we have to balance that out with the deep space and the humaning and the self-care and the just like being with her girlfriends and going to Turks and Caicos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Crying,
And
whatever, like
moving
these big emotions. Yeah, I love that. And I think the paradigm shift is like, to hold it all together, you have to be really structured, and to have the business that you want, you have to be like hard and logical. And when really what we're entering is this, or we're not even entering anymore. We're already in this,
we're in it. We're just
we're in it. We're like soft, subtle, and just beautiful, and just staying, like, taking time away from posting on social or being so visible, coming back in to fill your well. That's the natural rhythm. I know. And here we are in spring equinox, right? Here we are in this rebirthing, this holy rebirthing space, which is very sacred. Very sacred. Yeah.
And it's also, whenever we're in a portal like this, brings up all your stuff.
Oh, so true.
All your stuff.
And if you can be aware of that, and then you have, people around you that understand that language, and that's how you grow, and you get softer, and you lean in, and you let go of that old, like, we've got to figure this out. We got to try harder. We got to whatever, because it actually is all meant for you. Like, you've seen it, and it's all about, like, this, be here now. Be the love now. Like,
be the love now.
Don't go to the future. Don't go. But we have a tendency to go to our pain points, to exit and go backwards. And because, especially if you can move with energy, we'll call that the empath, whatever we're going to title, but you're flowing, you're coming in and out all the time, like the waves. And it's up to you to discern, am I going too far back? Like, am I abandoning myself? Am I going too far forward? Or can I be like right here and like work on this uncomfortableness? And
so good.
You're a water girl too. Like, I feel that around you.
Thank you. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I love that you said thank you. Yes, thank you for seeing me, right?
Yeah.
Don't you feel like that? When I felt like, when I met you, I felt seen. And because I can always see people, like, I can see their energy and I feel their heart, and I'm like, oh, that's the first thing. I don't see any of the circumstances they're living in. I'm just like, oh, look at her, so powerful, like, and it's so funny, because people used to think, oh, you have such a bad judge of character, because I could see light before I would see the dark.
I know, I'm the same way.
And but it's really worked for me now. Like, I've leaned in, and like, oh, like all of this light. And this light is just like yummy. And that's who you are. That's what you portray really so beautifully.
Thanks, Jeannie. Thank you.
Can we talk about your work, like the things that you're like lit up right now in your business, and what you're sharing with the world?
Yeah, I would love to. So I'm at a really interesting transition in my work in the world that I haven't really talked about publicly yet. So
Ooh.
let's do it.
Because I
Let's
feel
do it.
like that. Good. Okay. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm at a big shift, and it's been so beautiful because in the past, I've been forced into shifts because of my health or because of pregnancies or like something falling apart in my life.
Mhm.
And I'm really tracking my growth as a sacred woman by noticing that I'm entering a new shift by choice without needing to go through a really intense initiation. So I'm really celebrating that.
Oh, I'm jealous.
And right, I know. And I, and so much of it is about what I'm calling in, but noticing that when you call in new things, you have to let some things go.
Mhm.
So over the past year and a half, I've been having a really amazing time teaching a lot of programs live online.
Mhm.
And it's been so fun for me because I was sitting on all of these ideas that I wasn't bringing out into the world because I was just nervous about it or in fear, like trying to win a certain game. And I just went through this incredible creative explosion of teaching and bodies of work and everything like that. And I put my membership more in coast mode because my membership, it was called Whole Woman. And then I transitioned it to Holy Women. I also at the same time launched a separate ceremonial temple container because I have a temple outside of Boston and I'm an ordained priestess. And so my favorite thing to do is to bring women into ceremony. So I tried to create a separate container for that. So I went from having one program to having like 7 over the past, almost 2 years. And it was amazing. And now after this expansion, I'm feeling the contraction.
Mhm.
And I think this is a really important pattern for us to know is completely normal when we are running a sacred business and we're using feminine principles, because the masculine principle is sustain, grow
Right.
and grow and grow and grow and grow over like slowly and gradually over long periods of time. And like, hallelujah for the sacred masculine. We all need that energy. We all need people who are holding that in lives and in businesses. But for me, I've chosen the path of the sacred feminine. And I know that I need to be in integrity with these concepts in everything that I do. So one of them is about instead of being a sustainer, being a creator.
Mhm.
And when we do creativity, it's all about expand and contract.
Mhm.
So I definitely had a moment where I was like, I can't believe I'm changing my mind. I built this whole thing and now I'm not burning it down, but I'm contracting. And so what that's looking like is having these programs that I have making those self-study programs so people can still get the information. And I'm bringing my ceremonial space into Holy Woman and really focusing all of my attention on this community. And I'm so excited about it because I created a brand new course. We're now meeting every new moon. Tammy Brunk, who's an amazing shamanic astrology practitioner, comes in and we do an astrology oracle every month. But I went to church growing up and I loved it. And I had a great experience with church, except for that they just never mentioned women ever. And I still ache for that sense of community and that sense of rhythm and having a spiritual practice and having a spiritual touch point. So I feel really excited through this almost circumvented way that Holy Woman is now that.
That's
And
why I was seeing the Holy Mother and Mary Magdalene around you. This makes so much sense.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm really diving into the work of Mary Magdalene and mystical Christianity, which is really just the way of love. And how do we see with the heart?
Right.
And how do we reclaim love as something and reclaim a relationship with God and the goddess, something that we can all access and have it in a space where women are celebrated and celebrated for our natural inclinations and the natural way that we worship. And So really bringing my attention like all into this one community-based program feels really exciting.
I love this so much because, well, so in a lot of what you were saying is like all of this, we build it, we're creative, right? So it's just like, when we are deciding to have a family, or we don't even, or maybe we're not even aware, because there are times we get pregnant.
Oh no, every single time for me was like that. We didn't plan a single pregnancy.
Me too. So every, here is all this energy, and then it comes in, and you're in the womb carrying a child, and your body starts to transform. Or it's the same thing with like creating programs and creating offerings, and you're getting ready, you're preparing to birth actually something that's going to be an entity, an energy of its own. You're a life, right? And so there's no bad or wrong. And I'm in that kind of similar phase where it's like, oh, look at all of this, but now we're going to birth this. And there's no shame in that. But I think we've been put in a place where it does look like it's shameful, like it's bad, or you don't know what you're doing, or those conversations out in the world, like it needs to look like this. But the divine feminine is like soft and gentle, and she knows, she's wise to like, yes, that was that season that prepared me for here. That brought me all of what I needed, and the people that needed me there, they were served. And now we're in transition, and the people are either going to funnel here or they're going to go where they need to go. And it's so beautiful.
It really is so beautiful. And one of my biggest practices has been shifting from what things look like to what things feel like. And instead of leading with things being a good idea, or things being reasonable, or following the rules or the path that someone else succeeded with, there's a whole unseen navigation system that we all have that is just like the biggest shortcut. Like the vision I'm getting right now is like Candyland, where you go on like the gumdrop bridge where you skip all the other twists and turns. Like coming into our heart is the gumdrop bridge. And it's just so important to listen to that, because it ends up saving us so much time. Like it's very efficient.
And so the other part of the journey is some of this stuff that we've been through has been for the healing, right? And that's what your ancestors show me. I have all these women here for you. Grandmother, I just have all this lineage of strong women who are like, this is like the healing. And it's like moving, just like I said earlier with the water. And it's the same thing. It's this rhythm of, oh, you couldn't have healed that portion of you to get to where you are now had you not had these other holy experiences.
Exactly.
So I really hope this serves some women listening to see like how beautiful and how effortless it can be if you go with that instead of fight it, instead of being tight, right?
And I think something that I really used to do, I was so critical of myself, is that when I would go into a time of contraction or expansion, I just assumed that what I had been doing was wrong, or that it was like not actually in alignment. And now I know better and I'm going to do better. And what was I thinking? And I would like put my past self down. And now I'm saying like, that's not true. I was so in alignment. I was so in my heart. I was so being guided by the unseen navigation system. And now it's just a different season. But because we aren't educated in how to live seasonal lives and how connected women are with the cycles of the moon and the sun, then our only way to make sense of it was that we were being out of alignment. And now we know
punishment, that punishment tone, right?
Exactly.
That trauma that we've lived through, which is, if it's not bursting open and you're living on the stage or whatever that view that you see that God has placed in front of you, if you're not that yet, then you're bad and wrong. You're doing things the wrong way, which is like, wait, you actually are sovereign. You are moving with that energy if you trust it and you're in this wisdom. So I love that for you so much. It feels really special and very open. And I feel like this womb energy is really powerful around you right now. It's because it feels like it's bursting open to give. It feels like it's bursting open to like spread more love. It just, they keep showing me like these fairy energy, and it's like, just like, oh, and you get some love, and you get some love.
That's so great. I love that. I'm
Yeah.
here for that. I really
Because
am.
it feels like really playful too, and I feel like you're in a playful season. Do you know what I mean by
Thank you.
that?
I do. I definitely feel like I'm craving it, but I'm not
Mm.
doing a great job giving myself
Mm.
it yet. You know, this
Ooh.
is part of, because like I'm in this transition of being so full
Mhm.
and like cramming it in and learning how to create space for play.
Yeah, I love more space for you. So much so, like, I feel like they're your whole team of angels, and they're like just like so proud of you. Like, how much more fun can I have today? And how much more fun can I put into this space? And like looking at the calendar to see, oh, can I put some fun in here? And it can be as quick. They're saying like it doesn't have to be as structured as like a trip. Like,
Yeah.
I think sometimes that you associate like the trip as the only place you can have fun. They're
Mhm.
like, sometimes it's like schedule a dance party with a friend. Like we could do Zoom dance party. It is like having, I feel like it's definitely like collective energy with women that are holding space of like, oh, let's have a cocktail get together. Just, it feels
Yeah,
like just
so good.
fun, just so light.
I need that. I'm going to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And it feels like you're actually going to lead women in that way
Mm,
to create that space, but you first have to do it for you because you're a leader, right? You're a
yeah.
born leader. Like it's in your chart. They're showing like all of it is already mapped out. So it's like embodying it all right here. And they're like, you're putting on different clothes and seeing yourself differently, which to me, again, like this view of who you are in the world is just like, you're catching up to that. You're like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, I don't have to have the perfect house and the whatever. There's no perfect. It's like this is here and now.
Yeah.
Claiming it all in this moment.
In this moment.
Whew, which now I like have a little bit of a hard time breathing. I feel like I have a grandparent or like a grandfather that has a hard time breathing. Do you understand that? It's like a male figure that comes forward.
It's probably my paternal great grandfather.
Okay.
Because all my grandparents are alive.
So great grandfather having a hard time breathing where, okay. And I feel like his energy was very harsh and kind of like structured and strict.
Mhm.
And he just kind of shows me like this, like barn doors opening. And like, he's like opening the barn doors because now here's all this light. And now he's showing me also like him standing like in a soft energy and in a field and like in the glory and gloriousness of the landscape and not so much of the structures around him. It's just the energy of the earth and the elements. I don't feel like he lived that way at all. So he's just showing me this new way. And you're going to lead that here and now. It's not about the structures or the buildings it's about, and you just, when you're in it, everybody else follows you. So it's not like you have to fight to bring them. That defensiveness, he's showing like that defensiveness came from that lineage from his side.
Oh, interesting.
So he's like, and that gets to soften now.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Jeanne.
He's like so lovely. And I know he wasn't really lovely on earth, but he's so lovely now. And he's there, like the women are all around you, but I love that he's showing up more in his feminine.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so beautiful.
Right.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. It's interesting that, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
For the angels? Since we're here.
Might as well.
Because it's interesting that you brought up barn door because, we're in this,
no coincidence.
we're renovating our house.
Yeah.
And we're in this rental and I'm really uncomfortable in the rental. And it's not about the actual living space, but it's like the land we're on and all the energies around me. And it's been really hard because I'm used to living on sacred land at our retreat center. And we're thinking about renovating our barn and moving into it so we can get back here while we're renovating our house.
Right.
But I'm in this inquiry, and this is what I could use some support around, is like, am I meant to just stay in the rental and like learn something from that? Or am I meant to renovate the barn and
this
move
is so
back
good.
here?
This is literally so fucking juicy, and I love this.
Okay, good.
I love that you said, am I meant to? Because this is where we'll stay. So many of us will go here and we'll be like, I don't know. But you already fucking know. You literally already know. You had it come to you. You saw the vision of the barn being renovated, and you saw the barn doors came through. Like, right? We can't make that up. And your grandfather said it's not about the structures. It's about the energy and the land. And so he's already telling you it's about the land.
Right.
So
it's
already fulfilling that energy, that destiny that you've already made an agreement. And so this is so true for so many of us. When we're sensitive, is we think that the answer has to come in a sign or has to come outside of us, but your answer is sovereign. It's here. We're renovating the barn.
Yeah.
It already is. And so live in that.
Yeah.
It's happened. Yeah. Because I feel like that's a really, like I can breathe. He shows me like I can breathe easier because like, you know.
Yeah. I just really miss being here. I mean, I come here every day to work, but I miss going to sleep here. I miss raising my kids here. It's just like,
and there isn't anything for you to necessarily learn, like staying in a structured space. Listen, we can definitely do that, and we can pause our growth and think, oh, I have to be here, because that's the harsh old way. That's that like old logic that, oh, I have to go through this to get to the yumminess. But now you're like, oh, I'm going to move with this because this feels right. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but it feels really good.
Right. Yeah.
And when you go in the feel really good, that's the play.
So I just want to let's be in this conversation for a second, because I am noticing for me, and I see this with so many people, is we do, and I think there's some preservation in it, but it's like, what's the difference between assigning meaning to challenges in order to, while still moving out of them?
Right.
As opposed to like assigning meaning to challenges and then we stay in it for like the sake of being challenged.
Right.
But like what I'm seeing with this is like, wow, this is actually going to be such another amazing initiation for me to actually just go after what I want.
And you're actually answering that true desire, which doesn't come from you. It comes from heaven. It comes from God, divine, goddess, however you want to define.
Yeah.
So that desire is planted in your heart. And our journey is, can I be in the heart to feel and know this is one? Or am I going to stay with the trauma response, which is I have to figure this out. I have to take this apart. I have to learn something, because see, we're always being punished. Our trauma response in this world is, it's not really meant for me. And when we start moving, we take that one little energetic step of, all right, this feels good. I'm gonna step into this. All those doors open, then the doors open, and the money that you need comes in, and then the relationships start coming in, and then everything starts happening for you because you're agreeing to move with divine flow instead of going backwards and like, oh, I gotta challenge through this the old rough way.
I know. No. Yeah. So let's just all take a moment to consider that we don't have to do it the old way anymore, that it just like gets to be easy. And that doesn't mean that any of us are, we're all going to have challenges in our life, but just to notice where we're staying in it when we really don't have to.
Right.
And like, I'm really naming that. Like, I totally do that all the time.
Right. Because we're so human. I can assign it to something in my life for sure. Like, my husband's retired now. We have this whole new way of life. And I've been nervous about planning the things I'm going to do, what I see for my business, because I was waiting for, well, what are we doing? Like, what does this mean? He's home. Like, when are we getting a motorhome? We've talked about it. Are we selling the house? Like, so, and then all of a sudden I was like, I'm stepping into this, and we're going to start, my team and I, we're going to start booking events, and we're going to start going on stages, and we're going to start collabing, and I'm just going to go because it's what God's showing me. And if I'm going, then everything's going to be a little easier.
Totally.
But I was in the same, and I can see it and feel it still, like I'm still healing it. Like can I let go some more? Can I let go some more? Can I trust that he's gonna, like, I can't be too busy or too many like, it's all good.
Yeah.
If the assignment is this, I'm not gonna fight it.
So good.
I can't wait to
just
hear.
like love when you said, I'm just gonna go.
I can't wait to hear other women comment on this, to say how it is for them and what they can lean more into.
Yeah. 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 So it's just like to ask yourself, where am I choosing staying in the hard as opposed to choosing what's easy, and why? You know, and I'll just share, like, my why is always, it's always the same why. It's because most people don't do that. Most people wouldn't like go through the trouble to renovate their old barn so they could live in it for a year.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I think what's important to understand is that when we're on a sacred path, the whole point is to not be like most people.
And that is the journey. Like, you're the leader, right? So you're meant to pioneer, right? Which is also a very difficult thing to be, as we're in a society of, oh, let me do it like this one. Oh, you have to build your classes like this one.
Right.
Oh, if you know, you better do your podcast. Like, everything has rules. And when you're leading a business, it isn't about following the energy of another soul, especially because you're sensitive and it's easy to do and you know you can do it. It's about being here and staying in this place and being like, ooh, like you said, like feeling into it. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that feels really so groovy for you. And they keep showing me, like, this is so good for your kids, because you're also teaching them without saying it. It's like, we're going to move back to the sacred. So they understand about feeling it. So when they go out into the world, like our children will do, and start planning their own homes and their feet in the ground, they'll go off of what feels good instead of, oh, I want to make mom happy.
Right. I know.
People pleaser, they're all around that you're really healing this people pleaser energy that's kind of bogged your family down.
Yeah.
And it's just healing a lot of, like, female relationships for you all around. But it's opening up some doors, and they're using doors, and I don't know why they're doing this, but I love, they're like the doors that, what are these called? They're like, oh my God, what are they called? Where you just pull it open and, like, there's shades on them, and they're like, oh, and it's pulling these open, and then, oh, behind
like French doors,
kind of like a closet door that bends and has two parts, and it so it's like this, but then it bends in and pulls open, and there's shades on this side and this side.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like an accordion door.
Yeah, kind of like that. And they're opening them, and they're like, but in here there's a whole new room, and this is a palace, and it doesn't matter, like, the doors, it just matters, like, what's in the room. And so whatever you're going to create in that barn feels like, it just feels like it's great. And like, God has a plan for this. Like, that's what they're showing too. Like, you only see here and now, but the limited view is there's a purpose for this. So there is so much for this down the road, but let's be here and now.
Totally. And I do see that. And I think the other thing that I do is I have such clear visions, and I've always put them so far away. And I'm like, oh, well, it'll happen sometime in the future, because I've seen the barn, I've seen, the industrial kitchen, and people eating in the barn and sleeping in the loft. And I have like this whole vision for the retreats that we do, so that people can all sleep on the land.
Right.
But I often don't ever consider, like, oh, it's now that I have to start bringing this dream into reality.
Right.
And I think this is so beautiful that we're recording this on the spring equinox, because this is literally the energy of bringing dreams in and into embodiment.
Right.
And into reality. And so I'm just like, wow.
They're talking about reclaimed wood. They're talking about, I don't have, like, any, like, thing that holds you back, like any resistance that anyone on the outside gives you. Just keep holding sacred space. Like, Yep, it already is. It already is.
Mhm.
It's all happening for us. It's all coming in, and it's glorious, and it's glorious, and it's glorious, and it's glorious. Yeah. And I
Amazing.
see the big stove too. I feel like it's a big like wolf stove. And they specific, like, I'm like, can you show me? They're like, yep, it's wolf. I see wolf on it. I'm sorry, I'm sweating out here.
That's so great.
It's so good. And it feels like it's, yeah. It's just a yes.
Great. I
Yeah.
love it. Because we
So
thought about like, do we build a yurt that we live in? Do we do this? Do we do that? And then it was actually a friend of mine who said, I think it's your barn.
but
Like
it
you
always
already
has
have-
been. They're like, it always
Yeah.
has been, right?
Yeah.
You saw it in a vision,
Yeah.
and the vision is here now. So it doesn't make a lot of sense as you have this other project going on, but it actually does make a lot of sense in heaven because it already is. And so I see the property. I can see like in heaven, like I already see like, oh, well, that makes sense. Because look at the people come from the barn and being able to still do your holy work as the house slowly, and they're said the house is slowly assembling, but that needs time. And that's why the barn feels like it's like actually the first step. And you'll be doing that community. Well, you'll be holding the sacred space, and it will be easier energetically for you to do that.
Right. When I have the barn and the temple.
Right.
Yeah.
And the house is coming then, and then people see it. They're like, and that there's a part about that people are witnessing that coming together, and they're participating in the energy of building it by
Yeah.
being present. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense here on earth, but like they're showing me like the house feels like it's also going to transform a little bit, and it's just, yeah, it's a yes.
Thank you. When you say the house is going to transform, like the plans are going to change a little bit.
The outside looks a little different than I originally saw it when you were originally telling me. So I don't know what the plans look like. So we'll have to talk what that looks like, because it looks wow, like it's wow. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
It's going to be an amazing house. Well, I've been really called. I was actually just talking about it this morning with Kelly, which is, I really do want to bring people along for the ride, because
Yes, they're
it's such a
saying yes.
sacred,
So
such a sacred process
yeah,
to build a home. And, a big vision for this retreat center is that we're getting a sense of what it was like to live in Priestess community. And what does it feel like to come to a place that is sacredly tended? And, I don't want to have a residential community here, but I want women to come for periods of time and feel what that feels like, so that we can take it back to our own communities. So the house is a big part of that.
That's the work right there. End of story. Like that's the work. You can keep creating, you can have classes, but that's the work right there. That's literally what you've been sent here, you little amazing starseed, to do, and to, to spark in other people.
Thank you.
And awaken that part in them, so they can go out and serve their communities and their families and the women that they're meant to work with. You holding, that's the sacred space. So you holding you like here and being like, okay, does it feel, I love what you said earlier about like, is it feel in my body? Because it's different. It's like, yes, these ideas came in, yes, everything, but now it's got to flow through you like that warm water, and you just have to see yourself floating in it. And if you're not floating in it, then give it some more time. Like it has to feel like you're part of the whole body of water. And then it's a yes. Then it's like, yep. Kind of like that amniotic fluid, right? Like it was all part of like delivering the baby and having, like, it has to be like,
so good.
oh, I so needed this conversation. This is
Me
so
too, Jeannie. Jeez Louise.
I love how spirit works at like I said before, I was coming into our conversation, I went down to the ocean and I was like, okay, I need to get more in my body, because I'm feeling like so emotional, and I want to have that, heavenly confidence, not this earthly egoic confidence, like I can do it. I want to feel like the flow. And as I was coming up into the room, they were like, well, you and Sarah, they're showing us like you over here and I'm over here, and they're showing these emotions moving all around. And I'm like, this makes sense, like to be in this emotional state is a beautiful thing. It's not
Yeah.
a bad thing.
I know what I always love about being with you is that oftentimes, and I'm sure all of you are picking up on this, like I default to stormy, you know what I mean? And I like see like sometimes, I don't know if I'm creating the chaos, but I think chaos and peace are always here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I have a pattern of like fixating on the storm to try to get it to calm down.
Right.
But whenever I'm in your presence and I'm sitting with you, you just really help me see the eye of the storm and the peace and just heaven now. And it's such a gift, Jeannie. Like you have such a gift. The frequency that you hold of joy and ease and light is such potent medicine.
I so appreciate that. And, you know, being like that emotional being, sometimes it's very difficult to stay in. That's how I hold sacred space. Like it's easy for me to do my work. It's not as easy for me to live life. It's easy to do this.
I mean, amen. I think we all feel that way. And like,
Oh my
that's why
gosh.
we need each other.
So true.
You know, it's just like, none of us are meant to be, like, oh, I'm trying to find the words. Like the simple way to say it is like one-sided, you know, like if we were totally self-sufficient, but we're always helping other people, then that's a kink in the hose.
Yes.
In the like activating people's light.
Well,
around
nowhere, that's just my angel said, nowhere when you came into this world was it said that you were supposed to do it on your own. Nowhere, because you were never meant to be on your own. You were meant to be in community, to be loved. And I think because when we have experiences in our childhood where we start to feel other people pulling away from us, we identify like it's something wrong with us.
Yeah.
With something wrong innately here.
Yep.
So we learn to think I got to do it all on my own. I've got to adjust myself to be a good girl, to fit in, to be like other kids because they're getting rewarded, they're getting good grade, whatever it is. But the undoing of that, the unraveling of all those knots is, ooh, I'm so safe to feel and be here.
Yeah. And to
in
be
community.
Supported
Yeah.
in community.
In community.
And one of the reasons why we don't have our shit together is so we reach out.
Yes.
You know, and to make that connection. And there's nothing in nature that is only a giver and not a receiver.
Right. Yep.
Not a single thing.
Nope.
Yeah.
Right. Nope. It's beautiful. So beautiful. So let me ask you a fun question.
Yeah.
Since we've been all around this stuff and what's lighting you up in your business, can you share one fun fact about you that nobody would know?
Oh, that's a really great question. This is the thing that's coming. Some people know this about me, but most people don't. I am an incredible whitewater canoeist.
Are you?
I spent my entire childhood and teens and 20s mastering the art of like class 3 and 4 rivers, navigating them solo in a canoe.
And no wonder it's all about water with you.
Yeah. And my whole analogy for this year is just like getting in my canoe and going down the river instead of being the river. I was like, I must be the river. I must create it all. I'd like do all things. Like, no, Sarah, you don't even have to be the canoe. You just get in the canoe and you just get in the river. And there's a fair amount of steering that needs to happen, but you don't have to.
The river just gets to run through you. The river just gets to run. Like you get to move with it.
Yeah. So it's been such a great analogy. And like, you know, been over small waterfalls in a canoe, like all the things.
I love that. What are you most excited for the second half of, well, I mean, it's not really, it's just, we're still in the beginning half of 2023, but like that next part of 2023.
Next season. Yeah. So that's a great question. The spring for me is about really cultivating local community. And I'm really excited about that because I am a people person.
Yes.
And I haven't had a ton of people around me recently. And
it's so lonely, right?
I feel lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel lonely. And, people who can meet me and hold me, who are also like super interesting and up to cool things, and, having the families get together and cooking together and just all that stuff. That's the thing that I'm most excited about this season.
So I feel like that's exactly where you are, and about coming home to the barn feels like that will be so much easier for you to have all of those people and have more fun and be more easeful. And it just feels like, by May, everything will be like clear
Great.
day. Yeah.
Great.
Just feels like, that's what they show me.
Thank you.
I love that.
Yeah.
If you had one piece of advice for someone stepping into embodying who they really are in this life, about awakening their truth and their gifts and whatever that is, what would it be for you? What would be your advice?
Yeah. My advice is to ask yourself all of the terrible things that you think will happen when you start charting your own path.
Mm.
And then to ask yourself if they're actually already happening, right? So what a lot of people say is, I'm worried I'm going to be judged by my parents, or feel rejected by my friends, or like my husband is going to say I'm too much. These are the things that everybody thinks. And I go, do you already feel judged by your parents? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, do you already feel like your friends don't accept you? Yeah, I kind of do. Does your husband already think you're too much? Well, yes, for sure. And I'm like, great. And you're alive. So all of the terrible things that you're worried are going to happen are already happening. So you might as well just actually be yourself and see what happens.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Sarah, it's been such a joy. Can you tell people how to come and find you and hang out with you?
Yeah. Yeah. So the best thing for anybody to do when they're getting to know me is to go to sarahjenks.com/sacred start, because that is my morning ritual guide. And it's really fun. I bring in all the fun, sacred feminine things. It's like a party at 6 a.m. in your room every day at your altar. And it's a great place to start. And if you want to hang out with me daily, you can go to at Sarah Jenks on Instagram.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yay. And we'll put everything in the show notes so everybody can find it, find you and come hang out with you. I so appreciate your time here.
Oh, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having me.
I love you.
I love you.
Oh my gosh. I hope you enjoyed meeting Sarah. Isn't she just such a joy? Such a joy. Working with her, being in her presence is something that I know you're going to love. So please go out and check out her website and all of her beautiful offerings. I also want to share with you my event with Jessica McKay. I am collabing with this beautiful soul, this beautiful woman who reads energy. She is an intuitive and a psychic and a copy editor that is like unbelievable from the heavens. So I've had the honor of working both professionally and alongside of Jessica. I've hired her for my company and I've worked with her to do readings before. So we're offering a virtual Heaven Now experience where 10 women are going to come join us on a Zoom and we're going to co-read them. Super powerful, and I know you're going to really love this. And if you're really interested in coming and seeing me in person and being in the presence of the Holy Spirit, I'm going to invite you to come on over to my website, to jeanniestreet.com/events, and check out all of the in-person events that I have going on. I also have a Heaven Now at Skin and Tonic, an in-person group reading. All of these experiences are going to be limited to 10 people at each one, to ensure that you get the full bounty of the reading and the energy that God is offering in that moment. So I'm really excited to step into this new way of working. What God has shown me is going to just really, really help people to step into their own great gifts and really receive so many more miracles. I'm so excited about it. I hope that you are inspired by this conversation to come join me and Sarah at our in-person events. I hope you have a really beautiful day. May God bless you and keep you, my friend.
You'll never worry or fear. Her love is special when she is near. The pain relieves the ties to the past. Her lonely